Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to BlizzCon 2010 and a little bit of Day 2 action. I am joined by the illustrious Robert Simpson from esports. Give it up for Rob. You may know him from the battle reports. And of course, the game director of Starcraft 2, Dustin Browder himself. And of course, I know this is a nice break for both of you. You get to come up on the big stage and see NEXGenius versus Loner.
Unbelievable. I'm so excited by this match. And I have a microphone right now, and that's a lot of power. And I'm going to abuse that power for just one moment. BlizzCon, if you can hear my voice and you are not at the RTS stage, you are in the wrong place.
This crowd is like, yes,
Come
we are the only
over.
right ones
We got
here.
very little room left, but you can maybe squeeze in. This is the place to be right now if you want to see some amazing games played by some absolute gladiators of the sport.
Yeah, we've got all this, generally I guess it would be used for like fire hazard, but it's cool we can just fill it in, come watch some Stacraft.
There's a lot of space there that would make a lot of people angry security-wise. But of course, Starcraft 2, we have Loner against NEXGenius. And you have the brackets here. There's been some very surprising results. White Raw, again, very impressive. He's been performing so well. Barely lost to NEXGenius 2-1, and actually telling me in the back room when I was eating a sandwich that he actually barely lost that series. The game that was the third deciding game was actually his. But I mean, that just really goes to show the caliber of play that we have at this tournament. And of course, Loner, did you guys get a chance to see the match that was just recently up on stage?
Yes. Just amazing, amazing play.
Yeah.
I mean, just insane, relentless macro. Let's talk a little bit about NEXGenius first. He is Protoss player from South Korea, has played in the GOM TV Star League, shoutcasted by the two people not on stage right now, Tasteless and Artosis. Been performing very well there. And Loner is really the upcoming hope of China. He is honestly the #1 player in China right now. A lot of people knew he was strong, but because this is the first time that so many players have joined together at a tournament like this, we're really getting to see how much stronger he really is.
Yeah, and I think that Loner is certainly in a very, very good position in this match because he's obviously a very practiced up player. We just saw him do extremely well against Sent. Two very convincing matches.
Absolutely.
And I think that we should see an awesome showing out of him here.
Yeah, and now this is the third game up on the main stage Loner has played, and Artosis said it several times. He claims he gets nervous. I would argue that he's lying.
Yeah.
And either way, we're going to see the highest of high caliber plays. We're just going to make sure that both players are ready. They've said they're ready, but of course, it's the crowd ready. Very good. Now, of course, if there are any Loner fans, fans of your Chinese Terran superhero, give a cheer for Loner. Third big game up on the main stage.
And if there's any NEXGenius fans, the Protoss Korean champion.
And our first match is going to be on Zell Naga Caverns.
All right, so down in the left-hand corner of the screen, we see that Loner is spawning in as the blue Terran, and all the way across the map up there in the top right, of course, we have NEXGenius spawning in as the red Protoss.
For any players who are joining us here today for the first time watching a StarCraft match, StarCraft is a game of economy. You have to build a powerful economy, create a base, and then build a massive army to crush your opponent. And you will see these players, as they're vying for victory against one another, they'll be attacking different parts of each other's infrastructure, trying to destroy your enemy's army, trying to destroy your enemy's structures, or more importantly, raiding and attacking and trying to destroy your enemy's economy. With a crippled economy, you almost have no hope of coming back.
Absolutely, and of course, the blue minerals, this is just your general cash flow. Always, everything costs minerals, always want lots of minerals, but it's these gas geysers that really show when they're teching up to bigger, more powerful units. And top players, they're always looking for hints and signs of what their opponent is planning, and when they take these Vespene geysers, it's always a big sign.
And this is a vital part of StarCraft. You've got to scout, you've got to know what your enemy's up to, and you'll watch these players do this throughout the match. They'll send single units, often expending them, losing them completely, but just to get a little bit of information so they can understand what's going on, so they can make the right moves to counter.
That's right, because in StarCraft, scouting is essential. If you don't know what your opponent's up to, you're going to be in big trouble in any match. We saw a couple situations yesterday where players were just completely unprepared for certain tech pushes, and they really could have saved the game by just establishing some map control and getting some scouts out. And we can see right now that both the players are sending their initial scouts across the map because they want to get that information as soon as possible.
Yes, with those initial workers, no units made yet from either player. Loner has made a barracks, followed by a refinery. Very good way to get tech somewhat quickly, but you always want to have constant SCV production. Wants to make sure nothing prevents him from doing so. And a little bit of probe harassment. If that probe shield kills off that SCV. The barracks will stop construction, but no, the barracks does manage to finish. Meanwhile, in the Protoss camp, the gateway has finished. He's getting the cybernetic core, the key tech structure for Protoss, and has one gas geyser down.
Yeah, Loner's just harassing that one pylon just a little bit. Maybe he's kind of hoping that NEXGenius is going to pull off one of his probes, because literally having that SCV over there can become a nuisance over time if it chips away at that pylon.
So it's absolutely vital to know your matchup, to know what units to use against your opponent, depending on which race he's playing, but it's also equally vital to know the map. What do you guys think of the chances of these players on this map?
Well, really, I'm honestly feeling a little bit better for Loner in this particular circumstance, because he has shown amazing Marine Marauder control, and because the map has such a giant influence on the game. This map has huge, wide open spaces, a lot of room for him to control those ranged units very, very easily.
Yeah, and as we saw in both of those Sen matches, he is a very aggressive player. If he has units, he will be in your base destroying you.
Right, and that Marine Marauder push will be very effective in a map with so much space, as you were just saying. Now, there's a natural choke point here which players can hold right there around the base, but if you look at the sort of natural place to build your second base, it's actually very exposed. There's lots of places you can come in and attack this location, and it's fairly open, giving a mobile army, and there's the first expansion from the Protoss.
NEXGenius is going for a one-gate expand. Notice he hasn't taken that second gas. No intention on teching, just making a few units out of his gateway, and by few, I actually mean exactly one unit, one stalker, and then immediately expanding. He has a lot of confidence that he can stay alive, getting that key warp gate upgrade for his gateways.
Wow, I gotta tell you, that seems like an aggressive move for me at this point, especially we've seen Loner be so aggressive in the past. Going out there with that one expansion, you know Loner may want to be wanting to push here. And we've seen many times in Terran versus Protoss, Terran players can make an early timing push using Stim to be very effective. I'm a little nervous about that Protoss expansion.
And we just saw a very, very important kill out of NEXGenius over there in the center of the map. He was able to stop Loner's SCV from making it over there and seeing that extremely, extremely important Nexus.
Yeah, now, honestly, Loner is doing a very big push style. He's already getting the reactor and the tech lab on his barracks, gearing up to do a little bit of aggression, but with early expands like NEXGenius is doing, it's all about timing, and if you know the timing right, this is actually one of the safest, strongest openings against Terran players. Really puts the Terran under a ton of pressure because he knows, look at this expansion is already done. He's only at 33 of 44 food. That's an extremely early expansion, but again, Terran's going to feel way under the gun and is going to be encouraged to do some sort of mistake push a lot of times.
Absolutely. If he doesn't see that expansion soon, he's going to start falling behind. He's not making the right moves with that expansion in play right now. The economy of the Protoss is going to continue to grow, while the Terran economy remains flat with only one base. And NEXGenius a little bit of advantage here right now because he didn't really push that position. Wow. There he goes again. Oh, and there's the scan. So now he's seen it. Now he knows the danger is in, and now he's got to make a decision as to what to do.
But the real question is it too late for him? He needs to move over there, and maybe by the time he gets there, it's going to be able for, NEXGenius is going to be able to warp in some additional reinforcement. He did go 3 gates. He's got 3 gates now. Oh, wow. Goodness. And he's moving over with some SCVs as well. This is a large force moving across the map. NEXGenius doesn't really have a lot to defend this. He's going to be hard-pressed to live through this push.
He's chrono boosting all his units, but oh my goodness, he forgot a pylon. Oh no, he just finished. Ooh, that would have been scary if he was supply blocked. Loner is bringing SCVs up to the front. These SCVs are going to try to get in the way, and now here comes the units. Needs to be very careful when he throws that stim in. Oh, the killer force field. Brutal force fields. And there the stim finishes. Loner pushed a little bit early, but he's controlling well. He has a small amount of units. NEXGenius is trying to do everything he can to warp in. It looks like Loner is pushing forward faster and faster. NEXGenius is waiting for stim to run out, and there it runs out. He's re-stimming, very low on life. And look at that great defense by NEXGenius. Will be able to repel this attack, and Loner is not looking too good.
Wow, yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was really, really awesome force field play from NEXGenius.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Got in a situation that could have turned very, very bad for him really quickly. He was able to get out there, cut the force in half, and it was exactly the right timing before Stim finished. If Stim had finished just a couple seconds before, and Loner could have used that and maybe gotten past an area where it would have been so easy to cut off his army, it came down to the last second.
Yeah, it was very close. And both players using the workers in the battle, trying to get every little edge that they can, sacrificing a little bit of economy, just trying to make sure that they won that fight.
And it looks like we see that the Protoss is quite far ahead. He's at 60 food. His opponent is at 45. But at the same time, Loner is still trying to be as aggressive as he can with his limited resources, taking this expansion, and even positioning units very far forward, getting vision from that key Xel'Naga watchtower. But one medevacs out, and Loner loves doing aggressive drops. NEXGenius does have the economy. He's feeling comfortable, but he still needs to stay defensive for a little while longer as he has so many vulnerable points.
And we can see across the center of the map right now, Loner looks like he could be going for This is something that he really needs to get off in order to play catch-up. He needs to stop NEXGenius's economy for just a little bit. NEXGenius moving his observer across the map. He needs to also gather information on his opponent. He has no idea that there is a starport in Loner's base right now. And here we see this drop getting down there. He's definitely going to be able to take down the pylon. We haven't seen him go for a stim quite yet. Oh, just going to pick up everything. Able to pull the army back into the bottom of NEXGenius's base to try to defend that, and I think he's going to continue harassing with this medevac.
Very nice play by Loner. Guaranteed damage. Drops, kills off one pylon, pulls back, doesn't want to be too risky.
Oh, no!
Oh, NEXGenius with a great read.
Oh, no! And he doesn't
Oh, there goes down the medevac.
Fully loaded dropship. Blown to pieces right over the Protoss base. Huge loss. He wanted to keep that unit in the game. He wanted to keep that raid potential there. That handful of units could have really made all the difference in continuing to harass the Protoss. And here comes the move. The Protoss player boiling across the map, sending a huge army to engage the Terrans.
Yeah, now NEXGenius knows that there is not much over here for Loner to defend with. We do see that observer in position. Loner frantically trying to get down a couple bunkers, but will they be able to finish in time? NEXGenius right now would be a very good time for him to push before he's able to finish off and load up those bunkers. And here he goes. NEXGenius now moving in. See a bunch of those Marines trying to catch up, and the Stalker's doing a very good job picking off a couple Marines and just chipping away at that army.
He's going to a couple free kills right there, and then he backs away as the bunker's complete.
Oh, and we see a lone Marine very quickly stimming across the map to try and scout NEXGenius's base. Loner really hasn't had an opportunity to scout too much. Oh, but will the Zealots be able to get him? Oh!
And down he goes. What a brave soldier.
That could have potentially been a pretty big win right there for Loner if he was able to get one cheap Marine all the way across map, see this very important robotics bay, and of course this range upgrade going down for the Colossus. But he did not. He died right in front of the forge. But we've seen Loner be in this spot before. He is now getting reactors and tech labs on all his barracks. Against Huck, he was looking at an equally terrible position, but still managed to pull back. Not with anything fancy, just with good macro.
Well, he's got the technology in play. If he sees the Colossus, he'll be able to deal with it. He's got the reactor on the starport. He'll be able to make the Vikings to defend himself. The question is, will be enough Colossus to really power through, or will he see it in time and make the Vikings necessary to defend himself?
You see NEXGenius moving across the center of the map. He is going to easily be able to establish map control at this point, which is going to be huge in this matchup, because if you can kind of box Loner into an area, I think he's going to have a very hard time breaking out, given that he's the one used to doing all the pushing.
Right. He wants to be the aggressive one. He wants to be taking the fight to the enemy, and that's many times the case in StarCraft. You want to be the one in control of the action. Another scout from Loner moving across the map, counting the army. Now, he has seen the Colossus, and that's important information.
Yes,
he hasn't seen a lot of the tech tree inside, but it doesn't really matter. He's seen what he needs to know that the Colossus is in play, and his army of Marines and Marauders is a little bit more threatened by that giant war machine.
And here it looks like a big push by NEXGenius. He's positioning pylons nearby his opponent's base that will allow him to warp in units right outside the front gate. And there's another scout getting shut down, but that's going to make Loner feel very uncomfortable. Now, this is a big concept that you were mentioning, Rob, map control. It's who has the comfort of moving out into the center of the map.
Yep.
And it looks like NEXGenius clearly has good control right now. Advancing forward, just going to pick off these supply depots, going for that guaranteed damage.
Ooh.
And oh no, it looks like Loner's going to be able to repair in time. He's trying to salvage those bunkers, get a little bit of extra cash. But notice, if we just look at the vision of he is cramped in, he is in panic mode, just having to defend. But if we look at the vision of NEXGenius, he has the whole map covered, can easily expand, and he's pushing forward with these Colossi.
Yeah, and this is no problem. This is actually looking awesome for NEXGenius. We just saw the Thermal Lance upgrade finish right before he started harassing that supply depot, and that is going to make a huge difference in this battle. If you're able to get those Colossus to harass a few of the... Oh, and we see a Viking might be able to do some damage to those Colossi, but with that number of Stalkers, it's going to be hard for it to be much of a threat.
So it's a dancing game with these two players now. Can the Vikings get in and do some damage to those Colossus? Can the Stalkers... Oh, and here comes the battle. As they close in, the Terran player backing up a little bit, stimming to get away.
Yeah, and it's not looking too good for Loner. Now Loner back into a very tough position for him. Oh, wow, those force fields thrown down beautifully. We see the Zealots tearing down a few of those Marauders as well as the Marines. Now Loner's getting pushed back into his natural as we see these Colossi just absolutely mow through the rest of Loner's army.
Colossi doing so much damage, picking off the SCVs as well. There are almost no units left for Loner. He still hasn't even killed off any of the Colossi. And there's a good game. Wow. Pipes out.
Wow. What an amazing game. I was so impressed with the Protoss players' ability to keep up the pressure and to keep the Terran just back in the corner. Loner just in trouble from very early on and could never really recover after that initial push.
Right, and from the beginning, what made it very hard for Loner to come back from that was that he didn't get over there and see that expansion soon enough. If you're not able to get over there and get some units on the field and stop that, you're just going to be falling behind for the rest of the game.
But I mean, I think really...